Welcome to Finding the Money When You Need It Most with Lauren Cohen, CEO of ScaleUpCheckup.com. I'm Heidi Richards-Mooney, founder of Women in E-Commerce and host of The Entrepreneur Show, and it is my pleasure to bring you today's show. Although more funds have been allocated to small businesses, it's clear that business owners simply can't and shouldn't rely on the government to rescue them. It won't happen. We need funds and pivoting strategies to successfully navigate challenging waters and move your business forward during this crisis and beyond. Today's guest is going to share her strategies to find the money. So let me introduce her, or you to her. Lauren Cohen is an international legal expert and business continuity strategist who helps online and offline business owners successfully expand domestically and globally by protecting their soul of their businesses so they can invest, live, work, and play anywhere in the world. Ms. Cohen is a global entrepreneur and #1 best-selling author of Finding Your Silver Lining in the Business Immigration Process. She's an attorney licensed in both the United States and Canada, an expert concierge immigration and business advisor, boasting a stellar track record of success. In 2008, Lauren started eCounsel Inc., an internationally acclaimed company focused on providing concierge strategic full-service solutions for businesses seeking capital and foreign entrepreneurs seeking access to United States markets. In response to COVID-19, Lauren is offering a wide range of services related to business continuity and the coordination of funding solutions and pivoting strategies for business owners. And I've been a part of her Pivot or Perish Facebook group, and I could tell you so many great things are happening. You have to look at that if you get a chance. I'll actually put it in the chat section and make sure everybody gets a link to that, because she has helped so many people, and you'll see testimony after testimony about how she's helped people. So I'm delighted to welcome you today, Lauren. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, Heidi. I'm always happy to be with you. Sometimes in person, but not right now.
Well, hey, we're happy to do this virtually anyway. And this is the second time you've been on our show, and you always have some wonderful information. So let's get started. So the first question I have, and I think a lot of people have, is what other funding options are available besides the governmental resources that we're hearing about?
So there's a lot of other funding options available. There's a lot of grant money from Facebook, from Amazon, from Google, from the National Restaurant Association, from all kinds of resources, and Guy Fieri, who's partnered with the National Restaurant Association. So if you're in the restaurant business, even an employee, you can qualify for a $500 grant just because you're in the restaurant business. So why not apply? That's in the Facebook group. There's other cheap loans. There's Kiva. There's Cabbage. All kinds of resources available. And the key is that we also have to figure out how to pivot so that we aren't dependent on third-party resources to support our businesses. Because at the end of the day, it's only a Band-Aid for what we really need, which is to pivot for success, right?
Right. So tell us what that means, pivoting.
Pivoting, I think, is the most popular word these days, right? And you don't even know this, but I have been coined the Princess of Pivot because of what? Thank you. And I'm creating a podcast called the Princess of Pivot podcast. And my first training on that is tonight. So stay tuned. In a month, I'll be launching a podcast. So that'll be exciting. I've always wanted to do that. I think you know that. So anyway, pivoting, there's a lot of definitions of pivoting. Pivoting doesn't necessarily mean giving up what you're doing and starting fresh. It means taking what you have, taking your knowledge, taking your authority, taking your expertise, and turning it into something that can sell during these times and beyond. It means looking outside of the box and thinking outside of the box and being willing to embrace new opportunities, especially technological opportunities, because a lot of people that aren't tech savvy are definitely facing the prospect of losing their businesses. And if you're not willing to learn and you're not willing to adapt to the fact that social media is where it's at, right? I mean, I'm not even watching the news. I do get, I get news flashes on my phone, but I will admit that I'm not watching the news. It's way too stressful. I know enough about what's going on from Facebook and LinkedIn. And I am extremely, as you know, active on LinkedIn. And those of us that are business to business, if you are not taking advantage of LinkedIn right now, you are missing out on a big opportunity. You are leaving money on the table, just like you're leaving money on the table by not applying for the loans and grants that might be available to you. And I am here to really help you with all of that. I call it the balagan, as I've mentioned in my group a few times. And balagan is a Hebrew word, which basically means a big mess. Okay? Somebody said, well, what about mishigas? And mishigas just means all mixed up. A big mess and all mixed up. They're different. So there's a lot of mishigas around this balagan. Okay? I'm not a fluent Hebrew speaker, but I can get by. And it's just a great word because balagan, if you see my graphics I've been posting in the group, it's like this mess around the word, and the guy who doesn't speak a word of Hebrew put the Hebrew word in the middle and then put the English word in Hebrew phonetics underneath it. And it's really cool because really we're all in this balagan. We don't know what money is available. We don't know when we're going to be able to go out. We don't know when this COVID is going to have a vaccine. We don't know so much stuff. And the reality is we don't know how to access this money successfully. And what we do know, or what we thought we knew, was how to run our business. Now we have to think of new ways to do that. But in order to spend your time and focus on that, you need to rely on a team to help you with the money, how to allocate it. Because if you don't allocate it properly, you're going to not only end up repaying it, but you're going to have legal ramifications. And that's a given. So you've got to pivot and develop a successful strategy so that the money is not just a Band-Aid and that you rip it off and you're in big trouble.
So what are some of the strategies to pivot and to use? We'll talk a little bit more about the money and where to find it and everything, but this is, I think, a very important topic.
Sure. Well, it's like anything. I mean, you have a successful business in social media and marketing and all of this, and a floral business as well, which probably is suffering just a little right now, right?
Yeah, well, all our events have been canceled, but our regular business is still there. So it's funny you mentioned that, because even though we've had several of the big events cancel, because people are social distancing, they aren't able to see their families, so they're sending more flowers. So the everyday flower business has gone up. Certainly nothing to replace the events, because an event is a one-time delivery with several things, whereas an individual is a lot more work because you're delivering one at a time. So it isn't replacing it, but we are seeing a surge in that. So in my business, it's different, but in most businesses which are, product-based, unless it's a necessity, they're suffering. I have so many friends.
You're lucky because you already had the two streams of income, right?
Exactly. I have three, and I've had them for a long time.
Plus your marketing
business.
Can't depend on in your floral business. Yeah. So you have those two streams, and now one of them is kind of taken over the other, because the other is pretty much dead at the moment, for the moment. Right. So not everybody has that.
No.
What I'm about is helping to find that. So whether it be using, like, my real estate license is connected with a company that has a residual stream of income, which is why I'm connected with this company, so that I can have ongoing recurring revenue. It's exciting, and right now it's blossoming because everybody wants to be a part of this cloud-based real estate company. If you are in the restaurant business, you should be working on having delivery people, having a different way of providing the service that you were providing. Maybe if you don't have if you don't have curbside yet, get curbside. Figure out different strategies to appeal to a new audience. I was talking to a client the other day. She has a breakfast and lunch business. I said, why don't you pick communities and reach out to them with an offer of a free cappuccino or a free coffee, and have them respond with a little letter that you leave in the mailbox, because people are still checking their mail. Granted, they'll clean it. But say, hey, we're offering you a free coffee. We're trying to build our rapport with you, or whatever the case is, and we're offering free coffee. How would you like free coffee delivered every day for a week? And by the way, what would you like with your coffee? So these are kind of, strategic ideas that are a little bit thinking outside of the box, and they aren't in the norm of what you're doing every day, but they're things that you can do because you can leave a coffee at the front door. Amazon has changed the way that it's doing business. Amazon Prime customers are not getting their deliveries in one day, but they're
I know.
it's like a week. I have to wait a week to get what was it I ordered the other day? I can't even remember. Oh, a battery for my cordless phone that my son uses to call his grandmother, and the battery died. So I nobody has it, so I have to wait a week. I'm not used to waiting a week. But,
I
you
know.
have to just adapt
It's
and
spoiled.
adjust.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I see a lot of businesses they're really smart people. And I say this because not that everybody isn't smart in what they do, but knowing what to do next is often the biggest challenge most people have. We know what to do today. We've been doing this for years. Some people have been doing what they do for years. One of my, Rosanna, she's in the food service business. She's found a market in the seniors. These are not seniors that are in low income, but they're seniors who don't cook. Maybe they're in a small apartment, or maybe they live alone. And so she's developed this whole program with delivering food to seniors because she had 30 employees that weren't doing anything.
Yeah.
And how do you lose? You don't want to lose all your employees. Certainly that's a big concern that people have. So I think it's admirable how people are thinking, like you said, outside the box. So
yeah, if you're gonna think in the box, you're not gonna survive this. You're just not. You can't. No. I have a guy that reached out to me a few times. He's a hypnotist, and he says, my clients only want in-person meetings. I'm like, okay, well, what are you going to do? Like, you can't do that. Well, that's all they want. I'm not willing to think about it. I'm like, okay, there's nothing I can do. You're going to have to change the way you look at things because everything has changed. And the reality is that those of us that are adaptable, like myself, I'm all about going global. I help companies go global and establish a global footprint. I created a system, as you know, the Scale Up Checkup system, to analyze risk in 7 essential areas. Just a moment, my babysitter is asking me a question. I apologize. Sorry.
Problem. Makes me remember to turn my phone off because I usually do, and then I forget.
So I analyzed this business in 7 areas, and one of the 7 areas is funding and capitalization. So I said, okay, funding. Here's the funding piece. Well, everybody's going to need money. So I've done tons of loan docs and loan applications in my life for clients and myself, and I've written business plans for 20 years. And I said, there is a need for somebody to step up and be a resource for people that are confused. And that's what I did. And the reality is, like, now they're calling me, asking me, what about unemployment? I'm like, I don't know all of this stuff. It's like in law, people ask me like, oh, I had a criminal thing, or I had an employment thing. Well, I don't deal with every aspect of law, and I don't deal with every aspect of money, but I am helping people access this money. And you mentioned something about Rosanna and having 30 employees. So Rosanna is a perfect prospect for the Paycheck Protection Program, which is the program where the federal government is giving forgivable loans, essentially, to businesses that have either had to let go or furlough or are facing the prospect of letting their employees go because they don't have enough money to pay them. And this program is forgivable if you use the funds specifically for the designated uses related to payroll, related to rent and mortgage, related to utilities, related to health insurance. But you must allocate those funds very carefully. You need to separate your bank account, and you need to allocate the funds, because if you don't allocate them in the specific way and you don't show records of that, you're going to have to pay them back. And you may even be subject to possible legal implications for not using them, as you said.
So I have 2 questions. The first is, are those funds still available? Are those?
Yes, they are available as of yesterday again. And
Okay.
If you haven't applied yet, you should. Absolutely. Okay.
So then what are some of the obligations that are attached to accepting, governmental monies?
Record keeping, books. Working with my team, for example, I have an amazing strategic partner who does bookkeeping and accounting. So making sure that we allocate the funds appropriately, that we show how they're used, that they're in a separate bank account, that each dollar is accounted for. You may need to keep books for up to 5 years. I mean, it's not, this money doesn't come without a price.
So then you said something at the end about not having to pay it back. So what does that mean then?
Yes, this is the biggest thing, is that if you allocate these funds, especially the Paycheck Protection Funds, program funds, appropriately for payroll and related items, which I mentioned, and you can show proof of that, you could have potentially 100% forgivable loan for up to 8 weeks of payroll. But that forgiveness is dependent on your record keeping and how you prove the use of it. So it's really important. The record keeping is it's a much bigger deal than it usually is. And it applies to all aspects of both loans. And in a grant situation, it's a little different, but you still may have to show, you probably will, that you used it as, like, you can't go use it to buy, you could buy a computer potentially with loan money, but you can't use it to go and buy, your kid a new game or something like that.
Right. So you mentioned loans. So what are some of the other type of loans that you can apply for besides the PPL?
There's all kinds of loans. There's Kiva loans. It's a company called Kiva. There's Cabbage loans. There are, I just heard about a loan today, which I'll post in my Facebook group, Pivot or Perish. That's available at like 3.6% or something like that. If you don't have a line of credit or a home equity line, this might be the time to try to obtain one, because you will need money to fund whatever pivoting you're doing. There's a lot of grants, like I mentioned, some of them, and I have a loan and grant resource guide available. It's $27, and that's available to anybody, and it's 100 and something pages of all kinds of loans and grants available across the country.
Excellent.
There's a lot of stuff that's available to you. It's just a matter of deciding what it is that you want and how hard you want to look for it.
Right. And how much work you want to do in getting it as well, because they're not easy. I applied for one of them, and then the next day they said the money ran out. So I don't know if that means that my application's still there, and they're going to start reassessing those people, or if I have to reapply. Yeah. Okay.
They say that's what's happening.
Okay. Well, we'll see. I hesitate to take money for two reasons. One of them is that I really, at some point we got to pay for this stuff. Maybe we don't pay for it today, but at some point we have to pay, because the government can't continue to support us. They just sent us $1,200 a piece for, the stimulus package. And then we have all this other stuff available to us, but people, this is not free. Yeah. They may be able to get a forgiveness, but what is it going to do in the long run, not only to us as business owners, but to the economy in general? What are your thoughts? Do you even want to say? I mean,
I'm asked a lot of interesting questions these days. If you don't need the money, you should not take it, first of all. If you don't need the money to keep your doors open, so to speak, don't take the money, because you will be penalized for that. This is for people that need the money. It's necessary to continue to operate their business. That is what these loans, and especially the Paycheck Protection Program, is for. So a loan is a little different, because the EIDL, the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, is not supposed to be forgivable. And so as a result, if you qualify, you could access the money. It is a loan. You have to pay it back. How that's going to look in a year from now in terms of loan forgiveness, we don't know. And we don't know how harshly they're going to enforce whatever their rules are. One thing that you should know about the loans is that there's no prepayment penalty. So if you accept a loan and you decide you want to pay it back the next day, you can do that. Okay? But each time that you apply, and each time you can apply for Paycheck Protection Program multiple times, but each time there is a hard pull of your credit. So that's something to keep in mind, because if your credit is on the cusp, you want to be careful not to take that risk.
Right. Well, and I applied when I thought for sure I wasn't going to have any business, because I had 3 big events that canceled. And then I didn't have for 2 weeks hardly any business. Like when I normally have 30, 40 arrangements or deliveries a day, I was having 3 or 4. And I was like everybody else, not really panicking, because I have an incredible sense of calm through all of this, because I know that eventually it's going to all be okay. You know, if people do what they're supposed to do and we try to be smart about the whole thing, I think we'll be okay. I feel if I couldn't survive for 2 months, then I've been doing something wrong all these years. But I'm more worried about the new business owners who've maybe only been in business a year or less, or 2 years or less. I don't think a lot of them are really prepared for this. So they're the ones
There's
that
so
probably have.
many business owners that aren't, that I mean, people are just not prepared. Look
Yeah.
at Howard and Palm Beach counties where we respectively live. And the kids that were, I didn't even, like, I guess I have the wool over my eyes a little bit, because I didn't realize the number of kids that are dependent on those food, those meals at school.
Yeah.
And suddenly they can't eat. Like,
Did that blow your mind or what?
yeah, it is
Huh.
mind blowing. You just don't think about, especially in Palm Beach County, like, but it's here, and it's worse. And there's the abuse that's going on, and there's like suicide. I mean, look, these are all things that I hear mental health is like 100%, like it's doubled in magnitude, and it's a problem. So at the end of the day, I think one of the important, there's a lot of important messages, but one thing is, now is the time to build relationships. Now is the time to build your foundation of your business and build your relationships, because at the end of the day, I believe that those relationships, those strategic partnerships, the things like Heidi and I have, where I would send Heidi clients and she would send me clients, because she knows that I can help them, and vice versa. And maybe there's a referral fee, and maybe there's not, and maybe there's an affiliate fee, and maybe there's not. But find out, explore those opportunities, because right now I will say that those people that have strong affiliate or joint venture relationships are doing amazing things, because it's important, if you have a tribe, that you're helping each other, and everybody wants to help each other. And it's global. It's not just US or North America, it's global. So now is the time to reach out to the people that you need to reach out to, or that you haven't spoken to, and explore opportunities with them. Explore opportunities to use your skills and abilities in ways that you didn't consider before, just like I did. Because at the end of the day, I am now the princess of Pivot. And I like that. As long as I'm the princess of something, I'm okay with, well, there's a lot of things I wouldn't like to be the princess of, but
Well, you could be the Empress of Easings. Does that count?
There you go.
Someone even made me a little cute cartoon graphic 20 years ago when Easings were really first coming out. And it was so funny. They called me the Empress of Easings. Now there was a Queen of Easings, but I thought Empress was bigger. So I said, okay,
Right.
I'll take it.
Yeah,
And that was, it's so funny. So let's get back to the topic at hand. So let's talk a little bit about nonprofits. Because we have you and I both have a following of nonprofits. You have your own nonprofit. I have a not-for-profit. And so how can these organizations take advantage of some of the opportunities available?
The opportunities for nonprofits are even bigger than for for-profits. First of all, the economic injury disaster loan, is available to nonprofits at a rate of 2.75%, a percent lower than for for-profits. The Paycheck Protection Program is equally applicable to nonprofits as it is to for-profits. The number of grants and loans that are available to nonprofits is amazing. One thing, there's a group called the Hebrew Loan Association, and they're offering loans to anybody that qualifies. Doesn't matter if you're Jewish or whatever. So that's just a nonprofit that's offering loans. United Way is offering loans to a lot of nonprofits and for-profits. If you are a nonprofit and you are not taking advantage of these opportunities to access some of the money that's out there for you, you are leaving money on the table and potentially leaving your beneficiaries without the services that you need to offer them. So take advantage of it. Join my Facebook group. There are other nonprofits in there, and I will be happy to set time aside to speak with you and figure out how. I think a lot of nonprofits, that one of the challenges nonprofits have is they don't always look at their business as a business, right?
Right.
And so they're kind of streaming along, and they have the donors, and they have the services, and they have the beneficiaries. But oftentimes, more than for-profit businesses, they tend not to look at their business as a business. And right now is the time to look at it as a business, because if you are looking at it as a business, you can access some amazing grants that you are eligible for and that can help your target market and your beneficiaries and really have give you the opportunity to make an even broader impact.
Okay, so we're coming in the home stretch. So let's talk about some tips that we can implement during this challenging time for both business and and life balance, I guess.
Life balance is a challenge for me. Definitely. That's something I've been working on. And I think one of the things that I am trying to teach myself, and I'm guilty of not yet, is that what matters, what mattered, or what you think matters, maybe doesn't matter. Like if my son wants to be on, I have an only child, and if he wants to be on electronics, because that's the way he communicates with his friends, it's not the end of the world. This isn't forever, like you said. I think we have to all realize that it's not business as usual, and it's never going to be. And the way we have conversations with people has to change just as much as the way that we run our business has to change, because you are talking to people that are scared. The word today was petrified, that are running like chickens with their heads cut off oftentimes, and they sometimes don't have food. And you have to be sensitive to that. We as business owners have to be sensitive to that. But now is the time to work on the things that you can work on and control the things you can, because like the 12-step program says, work, you can't control everything, and let's work on what we can control, which is making sure our business is on a sound foundation, accessing the funding that we need, and taking that funding and turning it into some opportunity to pivot our business for short and long-term success so we can get through this COVID-19 and well beyond.
Yes. So what are some things that we can do to help one another as a global community of entrepreneurs?
Certainly connect, talk, have the conversation, offer free consults, offer the ability for clients to access each other's services, bring clients to each other, introduce clients to each other. I have a lot of strategic partners in my group, and actually, Heidi, we need to feature you. I love bringing people in and doing like you're doing, but I like doing them live. I like to have conversations very informally, talking about what do you do? How do we work together? There's been a couple of amazing people in there. Next week, I am joining my coach, Allison Maslin, who I know you know of, Heidi, because we've spoken about her, and she's running an event next week. This is amazing. I don't even know if you know this.
Oh, I do. I follow her. Well, she was on my show.
On my live on Sunday for 2 tickets for $97. She's doing an event the 6th to 8th of May with Barbara Corcoran and John Asseroff.
Yes.
So you need to join. It's going to be incredible. And Allison runs nothing but the best of events, I got to tell you. So that's the kind of opportunity. 2 tickets for $97. It's unheard of. I usually pay $2,500 plus you have to fly there, plus you have to have a hotel and all of this. And here you are from the comfort of your home, hearing from these amazing, she has 12 amazing coaches. I'm telling you, it was life-changing being in her coaching program for several years. So if you have the opportunity to attend that, I would recommend that. Those are the kind of things that now you need to take advantage of, because they're not going to be there forever.
But that's a perfect example of someone who has taken this opportunity to pivot, because she does run mostly live events, and they're usually small, intimate. I know she has big ones, but her masterminds and her people like you she's coaching individually, these are events where you do have to pay big money to get to.
Yeah.
And so to have this opportunity, I totally agree with you. And I'm a big fan of hers, as I am of yours. So I'm excited, because I think you were the one who introduced me to her way back. And and she was actually on our show once, and just an amazing, giving human being. So definitely, is that the link to it?
No, it's not the right one. Hold on, I'm going to get you the right link.
That's fine. And we'll save the chat, and I'll share it with the Facebook group and stuff. So I'm going to ask a couple of off the wall questions now. Well, this one's not off the wall. Tell me what the best business advice you ever received that you'd like to pass on to others.
Best business. To stay in your lane, to not try to do everything, because I do, even still, but I'm really getting better at it. It's hard to be a control freak and run a business, but stay in your lane. So don't try to figure out the funding. Don't try to be a lawyer. Don't try to be an e-commerce expert if you're not. Don't try to be, you know, a licensing expert. Don't try. Get the people on your team, spend the money you need to spend to get the, actually, this is something Allison teaches as well. Allison teaches to kind of put it out there and then put all the systems in place to support it.
Yeah.
Get it going and you'll figure it out. So
I'm a firm believer in that. My very first webinar was in early 2001, maybe. Tom Antion, Kathleen Gage. I had so many amazing people on that, and it was my first time. Nobody was really doing webinars back then, and I was one of the people who was I did 5 in 2 years. And I will tell you, it was such an amazing experience. These weren't just webinars. These were 2-day events where it had 20 people. And I learned so much and made such great connections. So I think you're
lifelong
right.
connections,
You know,
right?
lifelong. Oh yeah, lifelong. People who I know I can call and say, hey, can you help me with this? I was in 3 of those, my guest books, because they were on my show. So, you know, you just never know what's going to happen. So you need to keep yourself open, I think, and staying in your lane. Well, that's what I want to get to. You mentioned staying in your lane. I tried to do everything. That first one just about killed me. And so after that, I had a team and I put them in place, and one was in charge of the webinar stuff. One was in charge of watching the chat. I am not good at multitasking.
Right.
Much better at single tasking and sticking with what I know well, which is internet marketing and social media. And so I try to, you know, let the experts do the other stuff. I'm good at starting things, but you know, when it comes to the finish line, you know, someone better pass me.
Yeah, for sure. 100%.
So let's talk about what you're currently reading.
What I'm currently reading?
No, let's not.
There's nothing I'm currently reading. I wish, yeah, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm working out every day and
excellent. Okay, so then what do you do for fun and relaxation?
Yeah, fun.
Another bad guy. Come on. You do a lot of
on the fun. I gotta say, I lost some of that over the past 6 weeks, and I've got to work on it. It's I'm not spending nearly enough time with my son. And just a moment, because he has to go. I'm sorry, he has to go into a class. Just 1 second.
Sure. That's okay. You know what? The fact is that what we do for us, whether it's what other people would consider fun and we don't, it doesn't matter. To me, fun is doing these things. Yeah. So thank you, Lauren.
Sorry, Heidi. It's
no. It's
a class he's supposed to be in and he's not there.
Do you know what's interesting is that this is so different than a year ago. When we were doing these things, we were trying to, you know, we didn't want any distractions. Now, you know, after watching late night TV, anything goes. I mean, we can have these shows. I mean, if Jimmy Kimmel can have his kids in his living room, or is it Jimmy Kimmel or the other guy?
I don't know.
One of them, but they're in their kitchen and their kids are coloring and they're talking and they're having their interviews with all their guests remotely. And I love that, because it just shows we're not only all in this together, but we're all humans. So Lauren, be human, take care of your son. I
have no choice, because it's just me.
Yep, exactly. And when you're a single parent, it's tough. Any last tips?
Don't be too hard on yourself. And I'm telling that to myself at the same time.
Yep.
Don't be too hard on yourself. I think that's really important. And also, if you haven't applied for money, let's talk and get you some money.
Yeah.
Get some money, honey. Show me the money.
And it's worth the investment of hiring professionals, because you can get it done right. I prefer to do it right than do it over. And if you don't have the right team in place, you're not hiring the right people to do the things that you're not good at. Or for me, it would take me 3 times as long to do some of these things. So I'd rather pay somebody and use that 3 extra hours or 3 times whatever that time is to work on the things I'm good at and make money at. You know, but a lot of people don't look at it that way. And they really, I think this whole, the way the world is today, I think hopefully people are changing their view about that and starting to realize that we do need help. You know,
we do.
Business owners.
I need a cleaning lady.
Okay. I will you know what you do, you put it out in the universe, and eventually that person will show up just when you least expect it. What's the best way for our audience to get in contact with you, Lauren?
The best way is you can email me at laurenesq@gmail, laurenesq@gmail.com, or you can join the Facebook group Pivot or Perish. That's PERISH, PERISH. And also you can call me at 866-724-0085, 866-724-0085.
Excellent. If you want to put that in the chat, that's fine, and we can also have it there, and I'll make sure that
There's also another way. This is a super easy way.
Okay, your calendar.
No, I have an Easy Card, which is all of my contact information. easycard.com/Lauren ESQ, LAURENESQ.
Excellent.
easycard.com. That's my virtual business card, which I've been using for a long time, and right now it's perfect.
Oh yeah, it's great. Thank you, Lauren, for being with us.
All right, thank you so much, Heidi. It's been a pleasure. Any questions, feel free.
Absolutely. And if you have not gotten the 2 resources, the Breakthrough You and Passive Income Planner, go to the website, our next event, and grab it. And also make sure you check out Lauren's Facebook group. It really is amazing. Thank you all for being with us. Thank you very much, Lauren. You guys have a great day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.